Event number 6. Couldn't be simpler, Chase. We're going up and over.
Up and over event was really cool, but I do think it was overshadowed a little bit because, well, it came in the shadow of the Capitol. It's a good line. It came in the shadow of the Capitol, so, you know, people are kind of still recovering from the grandiosity of that event. Honestly, it was pretty classic CrossFit Games test. You know, there was certainly some things that show up like they do at the games. The box jump was high, there was an element where you couldn't use your hands, there was a unique object to get over, but the movements were very classic, and the combination of movements was very classic kind of CrossFit Games test. The pairing of events between the Capitol and up and over was really cool. And you know, if you're looking at a test of fitness in a vacuum and you're only looking at one event, you're gonna miss a lot of things. And so not only is it impressive to have somebody finish the Capitol in a good time, but it's even more impressive if they can recover and then come and knock it out of the park on an event like the up and over. If you relate it back to the list of 10 general physical skills, you have things on the bottom of that list that are more kind of neurological in nature. You've got balance, accuracy, agility, coordination. Those types of things are the least fatigue resistant. And so what I mean by that is the more tired that you get, the less likely you are to be able to express those capabilities. So it really puts a premium on your ability to respond and to move your body well and technically proficiently when you're tired. That's a whole other ball of wax. And it really does separate those that have that technique dialed in from those that don't. So every year, you know, it's just one of those things that we have to stress. Don't talk about the events. It's just that simple. We say that all the time with our internal crews, and it's just kind of one of those things. You leave the room, you leave this facility, you just don't talk about the events. It's that easy. So they'll come up to you and they're like, hey, what'd you guys do last week? What's your response? I would settle for I don't talk about the events, but that's cool, yeah. But I like that. That's a little misdirection. Yeah. And then we're going to get into a chipper that's got muscle ups, really tall box jumps, GHC sit-ups, and lunges. So that's kind of the big picture. Yeah, and I like the idea of jumping as a test of fitness. I think has a lot of validity, and I think oftentimes jumping just equates to box jump in the same way that ring training often just equates to muscle ups when you're looking at competition. And there's so much more that can be explored in that. So I thought it'd be kind of interesting to just play around with that. Bill and Katie from Rogue had the idea to have an implement like the log that would be navigated on the first up and over, which is great. You know, that kind of echoes back to some of the obstacle course work that we've done in the past years. I thought that was a lot of fun. So they built that. That was cool. And then we managed to use that and incorporate that into the age group categories as well, which was awesome. They got to play around with that a little bit, added a new dimension to their shuttle sprint that they had to do. We consulted a lot with David Hippensteel during the testing process this year, which was cool. We haven't had a chance to use you know, one of the older division athletes to weigh in as much in past years. And one of the things that he made it very clear that in his opinion, and I share this opinion, that especially in the older divisions, you know, that is one of those attributes that can start to diminish with age, the ability to navigate over things, the ability to show agility, the ability to have technical proficiency moving your body through space. And so it made sense to keep that log element for those guys as well.
If I was king for a day, we'd all do them this way.
Well,
you know.
Wanted to mess with multiple muscles.
Full hip extension at the top of the log. You got 30?
You're gonna crouch down right here. You're gonna shoot up, and
You
I'm
going
gonna
over me?
move. Yeah. I promise I won't damage
All
your
right.
camera. You ready?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. This is gonna be terrifying.
Woo!
You know, I've talked a lot about how I don't think it's appropriate for people to take a certain skill like a muscle-up or handstand push-up and only train it in one way because they think it's going to show up in competition. In a similar vein, I don't think it's appropriate for affiliates, coaches, regular everyday athletes, or competitive athletes to view fitness as just a test of my engine. And therefore, by extension, how I choose to navigate things has no significance whatsoever. So I can just kind of flop myself over, and as long as I'm moving and getting from A to B, it counts. It's like, okay, sometimes that is the test. It's just a straight engine test, and it doesn't matter. Comma, there are other times where that's not appropriate, and we do want to highlight agility, coordination, accuracy. Affiliates, coaches, everyday athletes, you know, fitness is more than just engine, and having the skill, developing those techniques is a part of it, and that is something that, again, if you don't do it, it's only going to go one direction like anything else. Like any other attribute, you don't strength train, you're not going to get stronger just by thinking about it. You know, if CrossFit Games fans, like, go back on the live stream of Friday's competition, just fast forward to the end of the Capital event and look at the state of these athletes as they're coming across the line. I mean, they're just emptied the tank. Like, they're just literally being liaisoned out of the way of the finish line to go recover on the grass a few feet over. Like, they're in rough shape. Take that and then fast forward, scrub forward to the start of the up and over and watch the heats of that, and let yourself understand that the time between what you saw at this total emptying of the tank on the finish line and what they're doing on the field was maybe 2 hours. You know, that's all the time they had between those two states. So very, very impressive to see how well they could perform under those conditions. Yeah, I thought it played out really, really well on the field. I really liked the look of it. I liked the way that each round had a different feature on the jump. I'm very much a fan of that kind of progressive nature in a workout where you start with a base skill and then it gets a little bit different as you work through it. I think that's really challenging to do. It forces the athlete to kind of react a little bit differently. And I like that sort of thing. So I thought it played out really well.